This is your News Source Evening Bulletin for today, Tuesday, the 12th day of November in the year 2019. Here is what we're tracking tonight. The recently formed Change Guyana party wants to change the taxation system in this country and is promising that if it is elected the government, there will be a complete overhaul. At the party's weekly press conference today, the focus was on fixing the tax system. Presidential candidate for Change Guyana, Robert Badal, who is a businessman, said when it comes to taxes in Guyana, it is a case of state extortion. He said there is just too many taxes being paid by ordinary Guyanese, and that has to change.
Effectively, both the PPP and the coalition governments tax both consumption, performance, and productivity. You don't do the whole range. You tax consumption mainly, you promote performance and productivity. And that's how Change Guyana will energize the private sector and create economic development all across this country. An effective tax policy should be designed to promote economic growth by stimulating investments that create sustainable jobs and income.
Among the changes Change Guyana wants to implement would be a 2% reduction in the current 14% value-added tax and the more than 30% reduction in taxes on imported vehicles. That's according to the party's prime ministerial candidate, Nigel Hines.
So Change Guyana position is that for vehicles under 4 years of age, we plan to implement a 50% tax instead of the current 82% overall tax on vehicles between 1500 to 2000 cc. Now, the current tax, when you put them all together, which comprise of 45% duty, 10% excise tax, and 40% VAT, comes up to 82%. So if you're buying one vehicle under 2000 cc and above 1500 cc, you're virtually paying for two.
Mr. Hines said Change Guyana would also increase the income tax threshold to $100,000 so that more persons will be able to take home more money. He also said the party would also repeal a number of other taxes applicable to the business community so that businesses could produce more.
And the point I'm going to make here is some of these taxes are minuscule in terms of our budget, or rather our tax collection, which for 2018 it was 200 billion and it's projected to be 224 billion in 2019. And property tax as a percentage of tax revenue for 2017 and 18, the average property tax was 2.15%. A similar analysis for estate tax amongst the 43 million or 2.3% of 1% of the average tax collected. A significantly immaterial amount. In addition, the frustrating process of involved in paying estate taxes will be eliminated.
The taxes that he wants repealed include the property tax, the estate tax, and the capital gains tax. He said the repeal of those taxes will reduce the tax collected by less than 3% for the specified taxes and aid local businesses. More news coming up in a moment.
Tired of long lines? Register with MyGTT at mygtt.co.gy. That's mygtt.co.gy to view and pay your bills from anywhere. Enter to win an Amazon gift card worth $25 or a bounty voucher worth 5,000 Guyana dollars when you sign up today. GTT, do more.
Enter the GBTI Quick Cash Christmas promotion and make it a Christmas to remember. You get up to $500,000 easy for anything you want this Christmas. Plus, enter for a chance to win fabulous items for your home. One complete 7-foot granite top base kitchen cabinet, one sectional suite, one 5-piece dinette set, and complimentary baskets of goodies. Apply at your nearest branch or online at www.gbtibank.com. GBTI, we see Christmas through your eyes.
Fuel it up and drive, Super 95. Tune up, fuel it up and drive, Super 95. Tune up. Protect your fuel system, boy. High mileage and performance, boy.
Guy Oil Super 95 gasoline gives you more reasons to drive and is available at 56 service stations nationwide. For affordable price, high performance, and high mileage, choose Guyana's Super 95 gasoline.
Fuel it up and drive.
Over the weekend, the Guyana Elections Commission started to publish the names of the thousands of persons who have not yet collected their ID cards since 2008. The list appeared in the newspapers, and the Commission has already published the names on its official website. The chairperson of the Elections Commission, Justice Claudette Singh, has made it clear that the decision to publish the names is a form of verification, since the Commission wants to know if the persons are still alive. She said they will have 21 days to present themselves to a GCOM office to uplift those ID cards. Failure to do so will result in their names being removed from the official list of electors and placed on a supplemental voters list, which will be available on elections day at polling stations just in case the persons show up to vote.
This is a method of verification. We're using that. You see, the Chief Justice said we can utilize we have an option to utilize either verifying the list either by house to house or by any other form of verification. Now, that is one method of verification. These persons who are supposed to come in and collect their card, it's not that they must have the card to vote. They don't have to take it at all. But it's a method of verification that you want to know why these people, why you have these cards still. Where are these people? We want to know if they're alive or whatever.
The GCOM chair has said that the process is covered in law, and the Commission is doing all in its power to ensure that the elections are free, fair, and credible. 2 election experts from India and Ghana are expected to arrive in Guyana soon to serve as consultants to the Commission. Let's tell you now that President David Granger on Sunday reaffirmed his support for the care of military veterans and their families. He presented the Guyana Veterans Legion with a check valued $1 million at the Remembrance Day ceremony and reception. President Granger, in his address at the reception, reminded that the occasion was being held to pay homage to the millions of men, women, and children who lost their lives during the 2 world wars.
Guyana this year commemorates the 50th anniversary of 2 of the gravest threats to its independence in the Rupununi and the New River, both legacies of careless colonialism. We honor the soldiers who went forward fearlessly in the young Guyana Defense Force to defend their territorial sovereignty and integrity. Guyanese, though ever conscious of the past, must look to the future, especially during the coming decade of development. The state, during this decade, accepts its responsibility to support its military veterans. The state will provide opportunities for veterans when they leave active military service.
The president explained that the 2 world wars exemplified the law of unintended consequences and began as a clash of European empires, which resulted in the collapse of the acceleration of those very empires. The president said the National Veterans Commission was convened in August 2016, and its recommendations are being implemented by the government. The Carnegie School of Home Economics launched 2 new programs today focusing on caring for the elderly and caring for children. The move has brought together a number of government agencies and ministries and private interests. A decision was made to introduce the 2 new programs as there is an increase in the need for certified caregivers for both children and the elderly. Head of the Tourism and Hospitality Association of Guyana, Mitra Ramkumar, welcomed the introduction of the new programs, pointing out that there is a need for a new level of thinking when it comes to caregiving and housekeeping in Guyana.
As we emerge as an oil and gas economy, we are now a new frontier in the oil and gas world. We see tourism as a new frontier industry for Guyana. And one of the main reasons why we say that, it's because tourism are going to be employing the vulnerable in our society. Tourism is going to create the stepping stone for our populace. And so housekeeping is right there for you. And it is one of the jobs that, in my view, is highly underestimated.
Head of the Technical Vocational Education Training Program, Floyd Scott, also noted that there is a need for a cultural shift in the manner people are being cared for.
And what is lacking in our country in many cases are the basic fundamentals of our ABCDs, as I normally call them, which are our attitudes, our behavior, our conduct, and our discipline. When we provide a service, we ought to ensure that what is provided to the customer reflects sincerity in all its form. It ought to be very efficient, and it must reflect a quality that suggests that the customer is always the person we need to please.
The two new programs will be offered on a full-time and part-time basis. Caribbean Airlines is this evening still probing that emergency landing in the Bahamas. A Caribbean Airlines flight that departed Guyana on Saturday afternoon for a non-stop service to New York was forced to make an emergency landing in the Bahamas as the plane developed a mechanical problem with one of its engines. The flight BW526 had 134 passengers on board and 7 crew members. In a statement, the airline said the aircraft landed safely in the Bahamas at 10:51 on Saturday night. On arrival, it was met by airport services and the passengers were able to disembark the plane. The aircraft was withdrawn immediately from service and is currently undergoing inspections and procedures. The airline said safety remains its #1 priority. The Guyana Power and Light Company has announced that it has completed repairs to that damaged 69 kV submarine cable which links the Viridian Hoop and Kingston power plants. Power transfer was restored back in October, and the company now wishes to advise mariners and local pilots operating in the Demerara River to be cognizant of the development and to exercise extreme caution when traversing in proximity of the cable. The route of the cable has been provided in a navigation chart, and the company has requested the Maritime Administration Department to closely monitor the movement and mooring of vessels in the vicinity of the cable. A few months ago, a vessel which anchored close to the cable caused major damage to it, resulting in several power supply problems for the Guyana Power and Light Company. On the police blotter, 2 vagrants who slept on the pavement along Regent Street were murdered in the past day, and police investigators have arrested a 24-year-old man from Cumming Street, Albertown, in connection with the crime. The man is believed to have been behind both murders. One of the murders took place in the early morning hours of Monday, while the other one took place on Monday night. Both men were stabbed and slashed to the head and the body as they rested on the pavement along Regent Street. There is no clear known motive behind the double murder. An investigation is underway. One of the murders was captured on camera by the closed-circuit television system belonging to a business in the area, and investigators will be using that as they build their case. In the courts right now, a 62-year-old man from Kitty here in Georgetown, who was indicted at a sexual offences court for allegedly raping a 13-year-old girl back in 2015, will have to face a new trial after jurors were unable to reach a verdict following more than 2 hours of deliberations today. The accused, Pretty Paul Mahan, called Neville, was on trial before Justice Simone Morris Ramlal. It is alleged that he raped the child between November 1 and November 30, 2015 at Kitty. Mohan had pleaded not guilty to the charge. Justice Morris Ramlal told the accused that he will have to face another trial at the next practical sitting of the Demerara Assizes. He will remain on bail. According to reports, Mohan is known to the victim's family, and during the period in question, the teen went over to the man's house to pick up an item, and it was then that it is alleged that he carried her to a room in the house and raped her. A report was made just after, and he was arrested and charged. Across the Region is coming up next.
We are legions of men standing strong, but never too proud to stoop and help someone. We must send a clear signal to all. Do right, walk in upright ways, knowing that's what being a man is all about. And ever aware that things will only get worse when good men do nothing. Stand strong, be the one to live right.
There once was a man named Stan whose business needed a new plan. Christmas was coming, this much was true. He needed some help but didn't know what to do. Then fast as a flash, 3 helpers did come from Republic Bank. They came with some. One had low interest rates, one reduced equity, one with approval so quick and easy. Now Stan is the man and his business is booming. Christmas is good and he is winning. Reach more customers and boost your business with a Republic Small Business Loan today.
Guyana, the moment you've been waiting for is here. It's the Ministry of Education's Guyana Teachers Union 59th National School Cycling, Swimming and Track and Field Championships on November 17th through 22. Come see top student athletes and teachers from 15 sporting districts compete in intense rivalry. Cycling at the National Park, Georgetown. Swimming at the National Aquatic Center, Liliendal, November 18. And on November 19 through 22, the Track and Field at the National Track and Field Center, Leonora. Action starts 9:30. The National Championships where stars are born. Powered by Malta Supreme, Hits and Jams Entertainment, and NCN.
Across the region right now, former Bolivian President Evo Morales has arrived in Mexico City, saying that he asked for asylum because his life was in danger. Mr. Morales resigned on Sunday after weeks of protests over a disputed presidential election result. The Mexican jet carrying him landed at an airport in Mexico City, where he gave a brief news conference. Mr. Morales said he was forced to stand down but did so willingly so that there would be no more bloodshed in his country. The left-wing leader said he and the Bolivian government were very grateful to the Mexican president, whom he credited with saving his life. The Mexican foreign minister said that the former Bolivian president had arrived safely in the country, tweeting a picture of the jet that carried him. CARICOM ministers with responsibility for information and communication technologies have agreed to collectively approach the region's telecommunications providers to eliminate roaming charges throughout the 15-member grouping. A spokesperson in a statement said that this is one of the priorities that the ministers have identified as an early benefit with respect to achieving a CARICOM single ICT space. It was noted that the matter had been discussed at a special meeting of the Council for Trade and Economic Development last weekend by video conference, and the meeting agreed that the elimination of the roaming charges would provide social and economic benefits to the people of the region. And finally tonight, international news. Hong Kong's rule of law has been pushed to the brink of total collapse after more than 5 months of protests, the police there have warned. The warning came as protesters clashed again with police across the city earlier today. At the Chinese University of Hong Kong, police fired tear gas and rubber bullets at the protesters who built barricades on the campus. Earlier in the day, around 1,000 protesters rallied in central Hong Kong during the lunch hour, blocking roads. Protesters wearing office clothes were seen chanting their fight for freedom and asking persons to stand with Hong Kong. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Gordon Mosley reporting.